My name is Kenny Tan. Welcome to the Real Biz Academy. On this channel, I train people how to get a real estate license in the state of California. Once they get their license, I also train them on how to become a realtor. Have you ever had difficulty getting your buyer's offers accepted because there's so much competitors out there? Well, there is a solution to that problem. It is called the escalator clause. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to draft an escalator clause to help you buyers get the property that they want. Coming right up. Now on the screen, you'll see a sample escalator clause. I think escalator clause can be used successfully. I know Gene Riley has used it. Johnny Yu has used it. Some of my other previous agents have used it. Okay. I can't remember when was the last time I used it, because the reason I didn't use it previously is because many agents are not familiar with the escalator clause. In fact, some agents don't like escalator clause. But with a market like this, you may have to start thinking about escalator clause. Think of this scenario. There are 30 offers submitted to the seller. How do you stand out amongst the 30 offers? So one of the ways to stand out amongst the 30 offers is by using the escalator clause. What that means is, and I've used it before, and sometimes I'm successful, other times I'm not. It's not always, it doesn't always work. But if you ever want to use an escalator clause, this is how it works. Let's say there is a $500,000 listed property and the seller has received 30 offers, right? See, when a listing agent gets 30 offers, it's extremely difficult to get their attention, right? You have to try hard to get their attention, but if you can get their attention, hopefully you're the first few that actually contacted them. That way you establish contact, and immediately, if you think it's going to be a hot property, don't wait. If you want to use escalator clause, use it immediately, because you need to let the listing agent know that you have an escalator clause in it. The way it works is that you're telling the listing agent, my current price is 500,000, but if you get a higher offer, I want to bid the higher offer by using the escalator clause. In other words, if someone comes in at the same price as mine, or even greater than my price, I want to escalate my purchase price by giving your seller better value. Now, the escalator clause is extremely important if your buyer does not have a competitive edge, such as if an FHA buyer, VA buyer, or a stated income loan buyer. Usually sellers don't like this type of buyers just because of the loans. It has nothing to do with the buyers personally. So the first clause is talking about in the event the seller receives one or more additional bona fide offers at the same or greater purchase price to purchase the property, then the purchase price stated in paragraph 1C shall be automatically increased to an amount that equals to above the highest purchase price, equal to, let's say, for example, you want to use this escalator clause on a $500,000 price. You basically say to the listing agent, anybody that beats me, I'm not the highest. I want to go on top of the highest offer by $2,000. If you want to escalate it by 2,000, you state it. You will write in $2,000, and then in the parentheses you put down the words that describe 2,000. Okay, you can do that. Okay, now if you want to put in 10,000, so if you want to say to the seller that my escalator clause will escalate my purchase price by 10,000 above the highest offer, then you put 10,000 in paragraph in the escalator clause number 1. Now, where do you put the escalator clause? Because the escalator clause is so long, usually I just put it in the addendum. So you put down addendum 1, and then you can basically copy and paste everything that I in the template that I gave you. That's it on escalator clause paragraph 1. Now, what about paragraph 2? Now, paragraph 2 is talking about in the event that other offers. Now, other offers is a defined term. Where did I define other offers? I defined it in paragraph 1. Okay, paragraph 1 define other offers. Other offers simply other offers. Now, as a real estate attorney or as an attorney, I was trained how to draft contracts. So whatever that you see in here, certainly I took it from someone else's language, but I modified it to suit my need. So number 2 says that in the event other offers cause the escalation of the purchase price, then the purchase price stated in paragraph 1C shall not exceed. Sometimes you want to put a cap. Say, for example, your buyer can only afford 550,000. That is your buyer's max. Paragraph 2 is appropriate for that 550,000. So you simply insert 550,000. So an escalator clause can have the increment for the escalation in paragraph 1, and then can have the cap for the escalation in paragraph 2. For paragraph 3, it says that in the event the other offers cause the escalation of the purchase price, then the seller shall provide sufficient documentation to justify the price increase. Certainly, you know, you don't want the seller creating a situation where the price needs to be escalated when there was no other offers, when you were the only offer. So you want to make sure you're not cheated by the seller. That's why you're asking them to provide proof. Okay. And number 4 is talking about, well, if the price is escalated, then the deposit must be escalated as well. I got a misspell here on the price. So when you do copy and paste, make sure you correct the misspelling. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 paragraphs. Number 1 has to do with increment. Number 2 is the cap. And number 3 is documentation. Number 4 is the deposit. So just remember these are the 4 items on the escalator clause. Okay. Now I want to give you a little bit of tips. If my buyer is very, very strong, then I essentially will modify my escalator clause. Basically, I will just leave escalator clause number 1. And I can take a greater risk or higher risk. Now, don't take the risk unless you know what you're doing. So if my buyer is very, very strong and my buyer really, really wants this property, sometimes I will leave out number 2. Essentially, I'm betting on the fact that I still have a way out. If I end up with a situation where the uh, the price is above my limit, if I leave out number 2 and my buyer can only afford 550, and if the highest price came up to be 555, by not including number 2, I may be in a situation where I have to tell the seller I'm canceling. Of course, that's always a possibility. Okay. But if you want to be more conservative, make sure you include 1 and 2. Number 3, the sufficient documentation. Now, whether you want the documentation or not, uh, you can leave number 3 in your escalator clause, or you can take it out. So what if the seller is doesn't have anybody hired and you are the only offer? That's the protection that you have on number 3. But uh, what if you use your own judgment and say, well, is the seller telling me the truth or not telling me the truth? Do I really care? Do I really need to have the documentation? But that's a judgment call, though. If you need to have it, put it in there. Personally, in some situation, I may also take out number three. I will simply have number one. And in most situation, I'll take out number four. I don't care about number four. And the reason I don't care about number four is that if the seller needs to adjust the deposit, they'll tell you. Otherwise, I'm just going to stick with the original 3% based on the original purchase price. Okay. All right. That's it on the escalator clause.